Good morning. It's lovely to see you inside, out of the rain and the wind and everything else. I still love going to the top of the hill to take that snap. Had to put on wet weather gear today. It's not that it's torrential, but it's raining and I don't want to come home like a drowned rat. Now that I am home and we're inside with the lights on, because it's quite grey out there, let me show you some rocks. This actually is the very first rock I ever sort of saw and recognised as something that was interesting and pretty. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Julian. And it sort of mystified me for many years because this was sitting in the cabinet when I was small. I think it belonged to my mother. Still belongs to my mother, but she's given it to me on long-term loan. And I thought, well, what is that? Why is it green? You know, I didn't go any further. But I reckon that it's little bits of malachite and probably some kind of copper because it's brown. And it just sat there being interesting. You know, the greenest bit of it is here. And if you look at it carefully, Anthony, good morning, it's been ages. You can see, it's probably a bit hard, but you can see the shapes of malachite in there. So I think that's what it is. Malachite in some form of rock that's got copper in it because that's why it's brown. So there it is, the very first rock in my life. I mean, you know, I've got a jar, an old-fashioned jar with, you know, don't know what it was. It was an old jar when I was small with rocks that I picked up from a stream that we used to go to with really nice rocks. Kept that, you know, I've always been a bit of a rock person. Surprise, surprise. Now this one is from the Brandenburg Mountains and it is calcite mixed with phrenite, and I'm just taking the sticky label off it because, you know, I'll put it back on after. So here it is, this amazing sparkly thing. Calcite obviously is, let me get this right, calcite is the white square bits. It is quite white and square. Good morning, Jen! And the phrenite is the little bits of green that you can see. There's one. And they quite often, at least I think that's phrenite, maybe not. I'm not seeing things. There's a chunk. It's a bit hard to tell. The colours, it's quite pale, but they quite often grow together. And the black is probably hematite. Oh yes, I can see little square shapes. It's, you know, it's not the huge cubes that are very recognisable, but again, hematite often grows with calcite, and calcite often grows with phrenite. So you see them together, and it's this beautiful sparkly thing. Here's the back. It's the natural surface, and it's obviously been cut off something from the Brandenburg Mountains in Africa. It's pretty awesome, really. And I think, yeah, it mixed in with the hematite, these little crystals are quartz. So it's actually a foursome, you know. Calcite, phrenite is the green, if you can see it. There's a little bit. But we've got lots of hematite and quartz, and they often go together, and it's just sparkly and lovely and a nice bright thing for a pretty grey morning here. So there we go. Those are our rocks for the day. And today I want to talk mechanics. I really do. Kathleen, good morning, honey. I want to talk neuroscience. When don't I want to talk neuroscience? Some degree or another. Not that I'm a neuroscientist, but I'm getting educated because I'm fascinated and because I apply what I'm learning all the time, and it helps me change my life. And if you're here, you're probably interested in that. So I talk a lot about choosing who you want to be, and the fact that we think thoughts and we have feelings and we do this repeatedly, and that is who we are and how we become that way. Mike, good morning, and I think that's you, Annie. Good morning, it's great to see you. And you know, enough said for the moment. Believe me, it's not enough said. I'm not done. I'm only just starting. But I wanted to get really practical and give you a bit more information about this whole business. I know I spoke about this yesterday. Slowing your brain down so that you can change the habitual thoughts that you think and the habitual feelings that you feel, and some of the really basic neuroscience behind that and how it works. And, you know, you'll recognise things that I say, but maybe I haven't put it in this frame. And this is just so basic and so essential to understand. It's really helpful to understand. Laura, good morning. So here we go. So At the moment, you sitting here listening to me, the brain has different states, right? Like, a radio station has different channels, the brain has different states. Annie, it is you! Yay! I love the topic too, Anthony. I've just learned so much from my inspiration, Dr. Joe Dispenza. The information has changed my life. The information and its practice. Let's be honest. Information is great. It's nothing until you do something with it. It's totally changing my life. It hasn't just changed it continues to change my life. So, sitting here right now, you are in some level of beta brainwaves. Now, beta brainwaves start at, let me get this right, 12 cycles per second and go up. And sort of normal, I think it's about right, 12 to 15, 13 to 15, somewhere there, that's low beta. And low beta is when you're sitting reading a book, when you're relaxing and looking at a sunset and, talking with friends, when there's stuff outside of you that you are observing and paying attention to, and the brain is just, humming along, because when you're awake and conscious, your brain's job is to make sense of the sensory data that comes into you and relate it to stuff that you already know. That's what the brain does. By association, it takes knowns and uses them to help you understand things that aren't known. So there's a wonderful example that Joe Dispenza uses in his workshop where he's talking about this exact concept, and he says, well, look, so let's say I want to explain cell receptors to you. And it's like, well, this is the thing. You don't know what that is. What's a receptor on a cell? I don't know. And he says, well, they're kind of like craters on the moon. And immediately you have a picture, because most of us have seen a picture of a crater on the moon, except they're more like flowers, right? There's another picture. Oh, it's a crater. It's a round thing, but actually it sort of pokes out, and the flowers have got antennae on them, something that goes zzz, zzz, and looks for a frequency. Immediately you're using knowns to create a concept to understand something new. And then what happens is that a chemical comes from the outside world like a bumblebee to the flower, and if it's the right shape and it has the right frequency to make that antennae go off, then the flower opens. And then the bee can come in and do its thing. And ka-chung, you have a thing that goes on the cell wall, and there's activity in the cell, and tra-la-la-la-la. That's a cell receptor. Now you understand it, because I've used all of these things that you know what they are, and you put them together. Your wonderful frontal lobe, your conscious thinking frontal lobe, analytical mind, has gone, oh, okay, I get that, this is the thing. And if I asked you to explain what a cell receptor is, you probably say, well, craters on the moon, flowers, antennae, bumblebee, pollen, whoopee. You get it. Because we've used known things to explain something that's not known. That's how we learn. It's how the brain puts things together. That's what you do in beta brainwaves when you're relaxed. Now, if you're in mid-beta, that's, I still haven't remembered. That's 16 to 18 cycles a second, let's say. Because I'm pretty sure low beta is 13 to 15, mid beta is 16 to, 18, 19. I have to keep remembering the numbers. I don't fire and wire it often enough for it to be easy. And that's like if I said, okay, now you've got to pass a test on this. There's a 20 question topic test on this, and you've got to pass it before we can stop. Or before you can leave, before you can go anywhere else today, you've got to pass this test. It's like suddenly, I've got to pay attention now, So it's good stress rather than bad stress. And the brain goes faster because it's paying more attention. So if you measure the brain on a functional brain scan, and you see the waves, literally, and they go up and down, they're just faster. Because the brain is perked up, it's got more energy in it because it's paying attention. Now, when you go from good stress to bad stress, when you perceive some threat in the environment, your brain goes really fast. Anything about sort of 20 to 50 cycles a second is high beta. That's stress, that's anxiety, that's depression, that's rage, that's shame, that's guilt, all those nasty feelings that we don't like. That's high beta. One way or another, it's high beta. And you get stress hormones and all that, but we're not talking about that today. We're just talking about the brain. Just remember, there's a downward causation from all of this. So, also, when you are running on stress hormones and when your brain is in high beta, you are effectively an antelope running away from a lion. And so you are an amped up animal. You are only interested in protecting your body. Where is safety? Where is danger? How quickly can I get there? So you're thinking about your body the environment you're in, and how you're going to navigate through it to safety and how long it's going to take to get there. That's it. That's all you're interested in. So you will fight your way past people. You will not think. You will blurt. You will say things you regret later. All of that because you're in survival mode. Now, more than that, if you think about the antelope running away from the lion, the antelope's brain is firing very, very quickly, looking at all these different things in the environment. So, I've got to get over that rock. I've got to jump the stream. Oh, the lion changed its course. Oh, shit, there's another one coming from over there. It's very, very quickly. The brain is recognizing things. Pattern recognition is what the brain does. Recognizes a pattern and reacts and responds. And because it's an emergency stress situation, then it's going very quickly. It's like a lightning storm inside your head. And that's fine. The antelope either outruns the predator and goes back to grazing 15 minutes later, or it dies, right? But that's a short-term stress. The problem with us is we get stuck in that mode long-term. And I've been hyper-vigilant myself. I know how it feels. It's just like, what? Where's the next brick going to fall from? Where is the next awful thing going to come from? And you can't get out of it, right? And you're stuck in high beta. And your brain is going from the remembrance of that awful thing that happened yesterday, which reminds you by association of the thing that happened 20 years ago that was traumatic. And then you remember what that person was wearing and you see that colour in the environment. It reminds you some more and you don't even realise it. And, by association, the brain is constantly, if it's stuck in high beta, it's constantly scanning the environment for danger. And so all the different compartments in the brain that are to do with different things, there's a sensory motor cortex over here. There's all these different parts of just that cortex that relate to different parts of your body. And just thinking about it, if you are in the space of being an antelope running away from danger, then if you are in some way perceiving a danger that you need to run away from, different parts of your sensory motor cortex are going to be fired up and I've got my foot on the gas, going nowhere, and it's just constantly firing, and you're finding, there's just all this stuff in the environment that triggers your brain off, but it becomes very incoherent. And by that I mean different compartments in your brain, identity is here, thinking and logic and reasoning is here, your seeing is here, spatial awareness, I think isn't I don't know. I've still got to work it all out. All those different compartments, instead of working together like an orchestra, they become really discombobulated. There's no conductor. The music becomes a cacophony. It's not a symphony. It's an absolute mess in there. That's why incoherence feels so bad. That's what happens when you're stressed. And that's why your brain is going really fast because it's gathering all this information and processing it. Right? That's the situation when you really, really, really need to slow your brain down. So the whole thing that makes that happen, we haven't even talked about what happens when you slow down. When you get out of beta, you get into what's called alpha brain waves. And in alpha, what's inside you is more interesting and important and real to you than what's outside you, the world of information. Kids spend a lot of time in alpha. They do. About age 7 to age 11 or 12, they're just totally in alpha. Before that, they're in theta, and before that, they're in delta, okay? I'm not talking about that. We don't have time. So, your brain is going very fast, and it's very compartmentalized, and the signal that it's sending to the universe about what you want and what you need and everything else is like, and the signal it's sending to your body about how to run your body is about the same. So, you're running on stress hormones, you're programming your body for imbalance and disease and all that stuff. But because you're in high beta, your brain is constantly, it's firing all those different networks, and that's what makes it incoherent. And it's totally focused on the outside world, and it becomes very hyper-focused, hyper-vigilant. You obsess about how your face looks. Oh my God, have I done this? You obsess about how your body looks. That's your body. You obsess about the world you're living in and, whether your house has been done up or not. That's me. You obsess about how long it's taken to do or what you're not doing. That was me, right? That was my form of survival. I'm permanently running from this tiger of financial lack. I just can't get away from it. I'm running. Foot on the gas and the brake, going nowhere. Very incoherent brain, very lackful, unpleasant feelings. So that's the bind. And the thing that keeps it going is continuing to put your attention on all of those things, one after the other, quickly. From, oh, my house isn't done up. Oh, I can't earn enough money. Oh, I'm feeling bad about it. Oh, my house isn't done up. Oh, I feel bad about it. Oh, I can't earn enough money. You know, that's literally what's going on. That's what keeps the state going. To stop that, you have to find a way to stop continually firing through those circular thoughts, to continually keep getting the stimulus from your environment, which is very familiar to you, and which you fired and wired, the fact that you see that thing and you have that feeling, and off it goes, and it reminds you of something else, and off it goes again, because by association those things are linked in your brain, and you keep firing and wiring. Do you understand? You've got to remove the external stimulus and allow your brain to come out of, 5,000 revs a minute in first gear. Whatever it is, 50,000, I don't know. Tell I'm not a motorhead. That's the thing. You've got to find a way to stop putting your attention on all of those thoughts. Because the thing about humans is we can make thoughts as real as the real thing. I mean, it is the real thing, actually. Anyway, so how do you do that? For me, and you can try this if you're not familiar with it, and if you are familiar, well, I know you know how to do this and you enjoy it. The first thing I do is close my eyes. With practice, I can do it with my eyes open, but it really helps to just shut out all the visual stimulus. And I can do this standing at the sink, right? I mean, obviously I can't keep washing dishes if I close my eyes, but, if I'm feeling that awful, it might be good to take a few minutes to do something about it. So, I'll walk away. I'll pace the house. I pace. No kidding. She paces up and down the garden. I pace and I just, close or whatever. But to start with, to close your eyes and just notice how quickly your thoughts are going round and round and round, and think, okay, I got to stop this. So put your awareness into the space around you. Now, why is that important? Because if you're paying attention to space, and we did this a couple of days ago, remember we put attention here, and then I asked you to put your attention inside the nasal cavity, which is such a nice feeling to do, and then space around our ears, and you did a bit of a spatial meditation, which is just lovely. Just shifting your awareness. As soon as you start doing that, you're not thinking. Now, your brain will try to keep doing what it's been doing for the last however long, because that's what you've been doing with it. But as soon as you go from thinking to sensing, your brain has a chance to slow down and go from high beta to medium beta to low beta and into alpha. And alpha is where your inner environment becomes more real than the external environment. And there's the first step to getting calm. And the other thing that happens is, if you continue to do this, if you continue to open your focus, what do I mean by that? I mean, I can close my eyes and just to play, like I've often said it before, paste your awareness on the walls around you. Or if you're outside, paste your awareness in the space around you. Literally, sometimes, I imagine myself painting it in. Paying attention to what is around you instead of this, right? To open your focus, you have to say there's no lion chasing me. Because if there was a lion chasing, you need to be all busy running away. But there is no lion. So you close your eyes, you stop looking for danger in the environment, and you put your attention around you. And it's beautiful to do. And the more you do that, the more you activate your proprioceptors, and I don't even know where they live, but proprioception is the sense that allows you to sense where you are in space. And where your body is in space. And the more you do that, you open your awareness out around you. Just close your eyes and choose anywhere. But especially make sure that you play with sensing the space behind you. Oh my God, that always feels so good. Because we're always object focused in front of us, right? But when you pay attention to space behind you, you can't see that. It's the unknown. Just, behind, and especially up here. Putting my awareness in this place is just, oh my God. Because there's nothing there, right? There's nothing there for me. I don't think about things that are here. There's nothing, there's always just space. And this, on either side of me or in front of me, there's all these things I can see. And even if I shut my eyes, it's like the visual picture is still there. But behind me, there's nothing. So if I put my attention on nothing and on space and I practice this, because believe me, it's challenging if your brain's been running around in tight circles for the last however long. If I practice this and I get better at it, what happens is that all those compartments in your brain that were firing off like, crazy lightning storm, if you just give them an opportunity, they start to connect back together again. They stop being compartmentalized and selfish, and they become a community. They start to communicate. And the signals are like an orchestra, the conductor stands up and taps the baton and says, oh, we're going to play together now. And so the music that happens inside your brain, and that happens as a result of the chemistry that pours because you're thinking different thoughts and particularly feeling different feelings. And you will change how you feel when you do this, and it's effective, and you practice it. You get different chemistry and different electromagnetic signals going to your body, and it starts to put the house in order because it can. It's such a cool thing to do. And this is what I've learned, and this is always, whatever I'm doing in my meditations, there's always a massive amount of opening up into space. And with practice, you get to be as big as the universe. It's beautiful. And the funny thing is, by the time you've got to be as big as the universe, there's no space at all. There's no size. It's like it's all here on the head of a finger and it's everywhere. And, words fail. Space disappears and you just become this awareness, which I was talking about yesterday. And it starts with opening your focus. It really does. So I want to explain that, because if you understand that in opening your focus and taking your attention off all of those thoughts, the memories of the people, the what's coming tomorrow, the where I am, the how my body feels, and that can be tough, and then what time it is, and you take your attention off all of that, all those different circuits in your brain, and going, get to calm down, and then they start to come together, and then you feel more whole. And the brain slows down and you get more coherent, because they're opening your focus into space. It doesn't just slow the brain down, it makes the brain coherent. It gets the compartments talking to each other, and that's the key, because when you can do that, a whole lot of other magic is available to you. So I'm out of time, beautiful beings. I love this topic. And I'm going to be back in 3.5 hours. If you are available and wish to jump on, I'm going to give you an update on what our beautiful Sang Marie Gomez is doing in the Gambia. It's big study time for him, and challenges too. I don't know if there's anybody who doesn't have challenges, but I'm going to update you on what he's facing and what he's doing and how well he's doing with it. So I look forward to seeing you then if you can, or tomorrow if you can't. Big love. Until then, bye-bye.